Hello.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We are the Tabletop Mentorship Program. My name is Grace.
Hey, I'm Mike, and we're so happy to see you again. And we are so excited for our guest today, KC of NIBCARD Games over in Nigeria, designer, publisher, convention runner, and game cafe owner. Extraordinaire, truly.
Innovator of all kinds.
Yes, absolutely. And they're here to talk about why the world needs tabletop game hubs and is the absolute perfect person to talk about this. So please welcome KC.
Hi. Hi, Mike. Hi, Grace.
Hello.
So good to have you here.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Okay, are you all ready to go?
Yeah, sure. I am ready.
Okay, wonderful. I'm sure your topic's going to cover it, your intro and everything. So we're ready to go here, and we're going to turn it over to you. And don't forget, people, we're going to have Q&A after this talk. So get your questions for KC ready.
And if you think of any during the talk that you want to send in, we can save your questions and have them asked at the end. So you don't have to worry about taking notes. You can just put them straight into the chat, and we'll make sure they all get asked at the end of the conversation.
Yeah, they're going to pop up just like this. So Big Go Games is saying hi and very excited for your talk. Excellent.
Okay, thank you so much again, Grace and Mike, and thank you for everyone that is watching. My name is Kenechukwu Ogbuagu KC, and just like Mike, Grace have already said, I'm a game designer. I'm actually trying to introduce myself first as a designer, and then every other thing comes afterwards. And that is what NIBCARD Games do. So NIBCARD Games is a designing, it's a publishing, and it's a promotional company in Nigeria with everything that has to do with tabletop games. We get to see what is tabletop games after this introduction. And today I will just be talking about why the world needs more tabletop game hub. I'm not sure how many tabletop games hub are in the world, but I already have seen the power of one and the need for more, especially in regions where tabletop game is relatively new or doesn't even exist at all. So I will start from this slide. So before we go, we want to, as much as we can, be on the same level with the definition of, the basic definition of the topic. And they are, what is tabletop games and what is a hub? So I had to check out the dictionary immediately, and I saw that tabletop games are games played on a flat surface. As example could be board games. Example of a board game is Catan, and then there is a card game for Nigerians. What is one of the most popular card game we played growing up. You know, there are concentration, there are giddy words, and miniature games. I'm thinking of a good example for a miniature game. Chess. So chess, they're all miniatures. Now moving on the board, and then there are role play games. If you've heard of Dungeon and Dragon, I've been thinking of a way to relate role play games in our Nigerian setting. There are games we used to play when we were kids. There was the War Start. If you're in Nigeria and you're listening, I'm sure you relate to when we were kids and we'll be in different fractions and we'll have rules of engagement, and then we'll start wars using toy guns or sticks in the shape of gun. I think that could be classified as a role play game. And then, of course, we have the dice games. Ludo could be a very good example of dice games. So all of these make up the tabletop games. And then over to what is a hub. Dictionary.com just says it is an effective center of an activity, region, or network. That is the second definition. There's another definition, but this is what works for us. So a hub is an effective center of an activity, region, or network. Like I said, it's important we are on the same level of what tabletop game and what a hub means. Now, bringing these two together, a tabletop games hub is an effective, focused center for creation and growth of tabletop games and content. Now, all this will make sense hopefully by the end of this slide. So we are saying that why why should we create more effective focus centers, for creation and growth of tabletop games and content all across the world? And I'll start with this. Recently, I had a conversation with Bez, and she talked about imposter syndrome. I think that was one of the direct conversation I've had, and with that conversation, I started having reflecting on the journey. Sometimes I don't want to reflect on the journey because it's too much, and I keep asking, how come one person have like, just like the introduction started earlier, he's a designer, he's a convention person, he's a cafe owner. Most times I try to shy away from, but after having those conversations, I think it's important that people understand where we were and where we are now, and this is it. So 2015, I remember vividly sitting on dining in Lagos and cutting those peppers. And 2020, I have a group of young people who are now skilled, and they can make games for anybody, really. Like, it's a skill that no one can take away from them. It's a skill that no one taught us. It's a skill that we had to source out, and this is why this is one of the reasons that we need hubs. And I'm coming to that later. Now, what is NIBCARD game, or what is our journey? I had to put out a list because so much has happened. One, we'll be able to figure out the designing process in Nigeria, and I'll break that down. It's not growing up. I think up to 2013. I think the only games I'd seen then were games that are the old classic. You're talking of Drought, Monopoly, Chess, Scrabble, Snake and Ladder, Ludo, and Mancala. And Mancala has so many names in Nigeria, Ayo or Oncho. So these are the games that are there. And when I tried to Google, when I had the idea of a game, and that was 2013, I didn't know. I just Googled, is this even possible? Well, it wasn't. And we did the game on paper, on cardboard, and people played with stones, and we got dice from a Ludo game. Fast forward to 2015, I started reading more. I started making conscious research. So, and it was more of go to this shop, use their service. Now, it's not yet a finished product. Take it again to another shop, take it again to another shop, and none of all these shops even know what the finished product will be. They probably have never even seen it or thought of it before. So, but we've been able to solve that problem. We'll be able to figure out the designing process that can work in the Nigerian reality. Of course, we have the other options of going to other countries, but I think at the stage we are in Nigeria, it's going to be so expensive, and it's going to be very stressful, especially with custom and all. So that's one of the things that we are proud of. And then we'll be able to figure out the production process in Nigeria, almost the same definition with the designing process. We'll be able to organize stable top games designing workshop in schools and off schools. Now, the reason why we started that in 2017 was to break the mystery that we can't design games. It's at the time it was normal when I tell people that, I design board game, to expect the question that, what is it? Like real board games? Like you make Monopoly, or you made Scrabble. I said, no, not those ones, like new games. It was so hard for people to even believe that it happens. And when I showed them the games I designed, it was like, whoa, it's like this guy has discovered the next thing in this world. And it's not supposed to be like that, because there are so many games already existing in the world. So many games. So we now started trying to teach people to demystify that board game designing or tabletop game designing skill, you are not born with it. Well, some have the talent, but it's also a skill that you can learn. It's like going to learn script writing or movie production or even music. You learn it and you can do it, right? So we also created board game designing toolkits. This way, the first time I saw it, for us here, it's a big thing. The first time I saw a token was in 2016. And it was sent by a friend in UK, and she sent me the whole package, like the 20-sided dice, the 3-sided dice, the 8-sided dice. And I could tell you that up till yesterday, I showed someone the eight-sided dice, and the person was wowed in the cafe. Now that's the problem we wanted to solve. People are limited. I know I'm always limited in my design because of components around. So now making this designing toolkit solves that problem. And then we've designed and published 29 tabletop games. So we always, people want new games. People want, oh, we've played this one, we want new, most times social games, social party games. And we've introduced all our accounts, an estimate of 9,000 people. And reason this can actually be broken down, we've partnered with an INGO operating in Nigeria to use games in schools. Over directly, we'll pass this number if we calculate the games that were used in the schools. But this, we are talking of conventions, online competition, giveaways, cafe hangouts, and independent game nights happening now because people are inspired by what we do. A continuation. So we've also provided designing consultation for three published Nigerian games in the past. The first one was August last year, and that was the first mention, the first game you can see. And we also went on to provide consultation and manufacture all of these games for clients in Nigeria. And these are people that first, once they call, you get to see that relief. You get to hear that relief from their voice. Oh, I've been searching the whole internet, and I was so surprised to see that someone is doing it here in Nigeria, and it saves me a whole lot. And to be honest, I'm always happy when I hear things like that. And the next thing, their games are already there. But if we were not existing, either the dream dies or the dream takes a while to come out. So we've gone on to inspire game events, and there are facts. There are a lot of game nights and game events that have come up since 2018, and you see this on their social media handle. And these are people who are also having direct conversations. They keep asking questions. How do we source these games? How do we do all of these stuff? And these are informations we willingly give out for free immediately. And we've manufactured 4 non-NIBCARD games in the past 15 months. And these are people that, if we did not exist, like I said before, maybe it could have taken a while, or they could have started the whole journey as I did in 2013. And then the NIBCARD Games Cafe. So in 2018, I remember one afternoon I was with Tobe at home, and we were just thinking, because up until then, what we used to do was to go to lounges, go to external cafes, go to any open space that we can find, and we'll try to get people to play game. And it was a bit difficult because those people wouldn't know where to reach us the next time, and we were not always sure when to come out, because we tried to reach out as much as possible. So we had to spread the meetings in different locations across Abuja, sometimes Lagos, sometimes Port Harcourt. And I would say, I told them, see, I've been thinking of this idea. We need to set up, can we just fundraise? And I said, I had a camera. I said, let's shoot a video and see where we go from there. Say 60 days later, we got the money, and we rewarded our backers with games we had done. Those games, looking at them now, I'm sure that it wasn't because of those games that they backed us. I think it was more of the ideas, because our production level now and our production level in 2018 are so different, so different. So, well, this cafe, I think, is the beginning of everything that we've been talking about so far this night. I think this cafe changed the concept we had of a cafe, and what we have now are totally different things. And I think this is more effective because it goes beyond being a business, and it's supporting an industry. Now, how does the cafe do this? The cafe has become some sort of creative hub where people just come in and just looking at over 300 boxes of games. I mean, these are beautiful creatures. Like, anyone that walks in here is already wowed. The color combinations, and then the things that are inside, the components that are inside. there's this arousal that comes up creatively. So that's what the cafe has become. It has become a game night hub. And when we started, we were the one pushing for game night. Now we have different independent groups and networks now having their own separate game nights. Because usually people feel more secured, playing with their own group, especially in this time. It has also become a playtesting hub where people who are designing their own game are now testing because they know that anyone that walks in here wants to play game, and people find it even extra interesting when it's you're the one that designed it, or if you are doing a blind play testing, or say this game is still new, so it's not even out, so I get to be the first to play it. So it's become a play testing hub. It's become a tabletop games content hub. So we've had independent people and also in-house. I will explain some of these banners on the screen. We are making content every day. We are having 10 board games that you've not played, 31 board games you've not played. We are having Board Game Press made a mosaic. I think Katie Housing inspired hand. She did one during the Independence Day to celebrate Nigeria artists using tabletop games, miniatures and dice. We have unboxing with Tobe. Tobe is now creating his content, showing people what are inside our games and every other games. We have Olive is doing tabletop talk with Olives, where she could bring her guest or she could talk about a game on her own. We have Pearl Teaches Board Game, where she's educating people using the rule book. So we want to make it as real as possible for us. So if you're reading the rule book and you're following Pearl, you will be able to learn how to play that game. We have Play with Femi, where he is inviting his friends to try out any game that he wants to. And then we have the Kako Art Hub, which is a gaming experience center that I could say that was inspired from the cafe. So they were a regular hosts of game nights in the cafe, and now they have their own space. And it's amazing because more people are coming into the industry, and then we provide consulting hubs. At any time, we have conversation midnight, we have conversation during the day, on Sundays, on days we are not working. As long as someone calls or sends mail, we try as much as possible to respond. And it's not just for Nigerian. Even there are a lot of people that write theses or making research on tabletop games, especially in Africa or in non-developed countries. And we provide as much knowledge based on our experiences and our realities. And then obviously it's a knowledge sharing hub. So in this in the cafe, we usually talk about, hey, have you reached that board game gig? Oh, did you check this group on Facebook? Oh, do you know we waiting, or do you know Dice Tower? All of these things, even some of the tautologies in the industry. Today I was having a conversation with someone. I said, you need to learn. Every industry have the words that only people in the industry can understand. So it's easier. So that way now, people go on their own to have their own research. And all of this started from the cafe. And remember, it wasn't the planned way that we would have used the cafe, but it's what it's becoming. So I think a tabletop games hub provides the services NIBCARD Game Cafe does at the moment. But it could be more. I mean, based on our earlier definition of a tabletop games hub, we discovered that the hub is a deliberate thing, like from the onset. And imagine if that was the case, that where from the onset we're already making targets and saying that by the end of this year, these are the places we want to reach, and these are things we need to do. And all of this will now support in an industry that is growing, a beautiful industry that is growing. A tabletop games hub, should support designers to create the best game that a game can be. I'm not sure if this is this. I don't know how to put it, but it's very common for you to in tabletop games developed world, where you could just have coffee and with friends who are already experienced, and you have conversations. Those are very, very, very rich things, because that conversation would help you move forward with your game creation. But think of regions where you don't have many people to have those conversations with, and you rely on your own capacity or capability to make online research or have conversation with people in different countries who are already experts or very, very good in their own. So there are so many things that you have to filter about. Having a games hub in locations, it's already contextualized. It already puts into reality the context of the designers. It can answer questions the designers from that region is asking. So someone from Japan now, I think someone from Japan, a new designer from Japan, it's easier for him or her to or they to be in a hub in Japan and ask questions of like, how do I manufacture? How do I promote? How do I distribute? Are there existing platforms? It's easier that way than for someone in Japan to start, calling or emailing Germany to ask people in Germany or people in US or Canada or Australia on how to do the same thing. So that's the thing we want to solve here. I know when we started, there are so many people that have been helpful, very, very helpful. So many people that once I talk to, they are always willing to listen. But they can't do it for everybody in Nigeria. But if we have a hub, so likewise in other locations, they can do everything in all the other locations. But if locations have hubs, this problem is solved, because it creates, just like here, it creates a conducive atmosphere. And it's not just a conducive atmosphere, it's a themed atmosphere. Now, once you come in, everything is tabletop games related. It's like a new world. That's what a hub is. If you go to Tech Hub, it once you come there, there are tech application in almost anything that needs tech application. So that's the same thing that a tabletop games hub do. So I had to simply summarize this in 3. Why the world needs more tabletop games. And this is my own opinion. I'm sure that there are so many other opinions out there. There is this expansion of the tabletop games industry where I am of the opinion that if you set up a functional, effective, focused center that helps designers create the best game they can, logically the outcome is that there will be better games and there will be better involvement in the tabletop gaming industry. And what that does is that it's expanding the tabletop community, a tabletop games community. It's expanding it, and that's the beauty. I was having a conversation with Hilko during our Spiel digital participation, and we were talking about how beautiful it is. I remember one of the examples were like, it's like movies or music. If you don't like the trailer, you can enjoy the documentary. If you don't like the documentary, you can look for sitcom. And the more diversified it is, the more beautiful it is, because at some point you get tired from the content that you're already aware of. If you already know that, okay, these are things I should expect, at some point you want to try other cultures or other environments or other scenarios to see how they use theirs in the tabletop games world. Then it also what's the word? It encourages collaboration and knowledge sharing. So you come in here. Up until early this year, we've been it's almost like I would try to write the rule book myself and edit everything. But with time, more people are becoming more used to games and rule books, and it's easier to say, hey, hi, Boardgame Press, can you help read this rule? And because you already have knowledge of reading rule books. Boardgame Press, for instance, has played over 100 games. Tobe has played over 100 games. Femi has played over 100 games. And these are games that they read the rule books and figure it out. So now it's easier to say, oh, can you read? It's even a skill. If a new designer comes in and says, oh, we have people that can edit your rule book because they are used to reading rule books and figuring it out themselves. So that is what a hub can do. You'll begin to see play testers, professional play testers, not the ones that if there's a hub, you will see people that love playing games. You see people that enjoy different type of games. we can list out if we want to play a very, very heavy game. We already know the people that we can rely on. If we want to play a party game, we know people that we can rely on. If we want to play a game and criticize the game, we know people that we can rely on. But we won't if we don't have those statistics, those data. And data comes if there are hubs. A hub is that fixed physical place where people can just be coming and going. And then the third one, it's a safe tabletop themed environment. So I already talked about it. It's usually if I want to have a meeting that has to do with tabletop games, or someone recommends us to a potential client, and I try as much as possible to lead the meeting into the cafe, because it solves half of the problem, because it's themed. Once they walk in and they see the whole thing, it already captures 50% of their attention. Sometimes also divides 50% of their attention, because we now spend the next 20 minutes going around and checking the games before we actually start discussing. But that's the point. A hub is safe, so you don't have to worry about anything. It's not just worrying about the negative, even worrying about the positives. You're worrying, will I see games there? Do they have games? Do they have game designing kits? Do they have people who can play my games? Are they good at their jobs? But it's not just about. But when they come in, that problem solves. So that's what tabletop games can do. So I remember I mentioned that this can also be replicated in other places. This can be replicated in other places, especially, like I said, in locations where there is little or no tabletop games presence. One, ensure that it's a fixed, accessible location. Remember, the problem of setting up a cafe in the first place was we will be carrying games to different places that we can access and play with people. And usually we get questions, when can we see you guys again, or when are you guys coming? But every hub has to be fixed. So if you want to set up something like Tabletop Games Hub, ensure that it's a location that people can always come back to. Then ensure that relevant and updated information about the industry is as available as much as possible. You have to take the leaders until people can begin to support more. Try as much as possible not to hoard knowledge. As much as it comes out, recommend people, push those knowledge to people, and also places where they can source this information for themselves. Encourage people to watch YouTube, read as much as possible. Like everyone I meet in the cafe, there's a certain amount of time you probably have visited, and maybe I've had conversations with you. Next thing I was, have you joined this group? Go on Facebook. Have you joined? If you're a designer, have you joined Board Game Designing Lab? If you're a promoter or you want to, have you joined like the board game group, board game arena? There are so many groups on Facebook. Board game spotlight, exposure, board game exposure. So we try to push people. Have you created your account on BGG, or have you seen Gamiosity? Do you even know that games can now be played online? There is Tabletopia, there is Board Game Arena, you could just play. There is Tabletop Game Stimulator. So we try so that people are not limited by what they are just seeing here, because what is here is not what is by here. I mean, the cafe. What is in the cafe? It's not even close to the whole picture. So as much as possible that you're opening your hub, you also have to make people know that there's a whole world that is bigger than this, so that they begin to if you know that there is this world, you begin to dream big. That's how I see things. You begin to dream even bigger than saying, okay, it's just this place. And then encourage content creation. So one of the things we started doing was first we tried to get cameras, recorders, equipment, lights and all, even background. And then we put up on social media, come create your own content. And we'll give people an example of content, because most times people don't even know what content and is understandable, because people don't know that someone will watch 10 strategy games or 10 party games or how to play. in Nigeria here, because most of the games already existing are games that were passed down. So, chess, someone taught you how to play chess, or Monopoly, someone taught you how to play Monopoly. It was just passed down. Ludo, you saw people playing it and all. But now we start seeing people come in and create their own content. And what we tell people is this: your content is your own. You put it on your own channels, but of course, we can always make reference to them on your channels. Or if we're playing it on our Twitch, and we know that Twitch for our account, it only lasts for 14 days. And that way, it's even a win-win. So people get to see your work, people that are in our network, and your work is still yours, because eventually you put them on your YouTube channel. And then we also encourage independent creation. So or even setting up of hubs, we encourage people, hey, start your own, start your own. I've had conversations with a lot of people regarding this industry, and a lot of people with different knowledge level. Some will come from the business angle, some will come from the, when you're talking of business, you start thinking of the trade secrets, the protection of ideas, but those things have never really pushed me. I can't stop creating games, so I can never ever compete with. How do you compete? Unless you're competing with yourself, but how do you compete? I can't compete with someone else in designing, because I just can't help designing. Every other thing that we do comes out because of the games that I've designed. There's so many unpublished games. On my bed, you could see 4 different game designs, and they're all prototypes, so I can just be playing alone. But I think the industry thrives when there are more people, and that's why we encourage independent people, because if you set up your stuff independently, of course, we support when you need it. It gives you that ownership, and it gives you that joy when you're seeing the growth. So recently, well, not recently, but anytime that Facebook shares a picture from the past, maybe from 2015, I just smile, and I think other people deserve to feel that same way. In 2015, I never knew I would even be having this presentation. But what I do know was every single step of the way, I will tell people about it, because I know that it inspires someone, and it does, because there are people that have sent messages, there are people that have even designed. Most people that come into the cafe is based on the things we post on social media. So that is still the same ideology that we are using, that we operate on. We try to, and that's what every hub should do, try to encourage people to do their own stuff, because that is how the industry can grow. That's how tabletop games can expand. And I think that's it for me today. So again, I will say thank you. Thank you in my language. Igbo language is Dalu. So thank you.
There we go. Hey, wonderful. Thank you so much.
What an amazing journey. And the final note of sharing it as you go along is so powerful, I think. Often yeah, I think people are afraid to talk about the early steps of a journey because they are worried about how it will be perceived and mistakes that they might make, but you learn from all of those steps along the way. So that's such a fantastic note.
I agree. Thank you, Greg.
All right, so I think, please.
No, I just wanted to summarize. I think just for what Grace, yes, sometimes people are afraid of sharing their mistakes, and some of them can be embarrassing. Some could even hamper or your integrity or your ability to do stuff. And you want to hide those things from people, but I think just like you say, you learn from it. I am never ever afraid of failing. In fact, our logo has something like if you look at the slogan on our logo, you see why not. So whenever there is a problem, I'm like, why not? Let's just do it. If we waited for where we are now, when we did our first game, we probably would not have. And if sometimes I will see those games, I will hide my face. I say thank you to everyone that actually bought these games, because they believed in where we want to be, and those things are very, very supportive. Like, but I still hide my face too.
No, we totally understand that. That was the whole reason we started the mentorship in the first place, was why not, right? And then, but I look at where we are now but where we started, I kind of do the same thing where I'm like, thank you for joining when it was just an idea, and, a couple of weeks on the internet. But no, it's grown into something that you can really be proud of, of course.
Thank you.
All right, so I think we got a lot of questions during your talk, which is wonderful, and we're just going to roll into them.
And if anybody has more questions, Now is the time. Go ahead and send them in.
All right, wonderful. Let's start with okay. So this is a good one. Are any of your games available outside of your region? Can we buy them in the US and the UK?
Yes, actually, there's thanks to Spiel Digital, we were able to bring out some of our games, and we had an amazing partnership with Aaron Brown. He's the owner of Tabletop Games Cafe in Ohio. So we struck a partnership where he has some of our games now. Yes, but you can also pre-order our main game on the website cowrygames.com. So cowrygames.com, you'll see our games for US and for Canada markets. So unless the person is willing to ship from US, but what we did was to be able to find a good because it's part of the whole hubs thing, where if we can find a sustainable way of pushing our games, we can also do that for other games. But I don't want to do it for other people's games because I don't fully understand that, and I don't want someone to call me in the middle of the night about their games. So we have to use our own games first. So I hope it's successful because there are so many games right now. Like I said, there are 9 games of different people. I don't even want to talk about my own games that are coming out next year. And they are better graphics, better story, better thing. But there are also other Nigerian designers that are coming with their games. So the idea is that we'll find a very cheap, the cheapest and most secure way of moving the games from Nigeria to all the other locations. Because buying directly from our site is the cost of shipping our cheapest game is more expensive than our most expensive game. So yeah, it's bad. It's really sad. So even on Kari's game, you see a game like Village War is about 65, but the shipping alone from Nigeria that made the cost 65 is more than 50%. I think it's about 67% or so. But if you don't buy from Kari Games and you're buying from us, it's about $78 if you include the shipping. So those are challenges that we are still trying to find how to.
Wow, interesting. We got another question here from Chidi. How do you manage piracy? Is that an issue with NIBCARD?
Piracy is not an issue, but I think the underlying question there is I'm not sure. Please correct me. Is do we protect our games? I don't know if that's the real question. If that's the question, I try to tell people, I've tried to read as much as possible on protecting games, and you can't obviously patent a game because the concept of dice rolling and card drafting, we don't know who started those, but you can copyright or trademark your images. And I tell people that it's so easy for copyright. The whole in copywriting is that all someone has to do to have a new game is just to change one tiny little thing from your game, just one tiny little thing, unless you captured it in another copyright. So for me, I'm a strong believer of, like I said, from the onset we've been exposing our work. I don't believe in trade secrets because it's a new industry. And I think that technology, social media have created some level of relevance in protecting your stuff. It probably might not be legal enough, but if people like your game and your game is on BBG and it's already recorded and it's yours and people are playing it, I think that's protection enough for me. And so, but answering this piracy question, Nigeria is a country that there are a lot of piracy. And the person that answers this has a Nigerian name. Ask the person has the Nigerian name from my tribe as well. So in Nigeria, I've met some distributors. They require a large number of games for them to start selling. To be honest, we are expecting that piracy will happen someday, and we've been thinking of how to maximize it. People with more resources have tried to fight piracy and lost, especially like movie industry and music industry. But I think recently they are finding a level ground to be able to work together. So I think that is something that if that happens, we are open to see how we can, because the country, the whole security, everything is porous. You can't fight it. You can't fight piracy in my country at the moment. There's so many things. So it's more of finding how to benefit from their awareness, because piracy is also a form of awareness anyway. Chief, I hope that answers your question.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We have Radian here who wants to know what does NIBCARD stand for?
NIBCARD is an acronym for Nigeria Board Card. When I'm explaining this, I need you to also see that there are symbols. The whole NIBCARD is a symbol. So N for Nigeria, the I, because there's a symbol, it's not a standalone. So it's the I in Nigeria. So, and then there is the B for board, there is the C for card, and you see the A is not A, it's a what's the word?
A triangle.
Yes. So it's the A in the card, and then there's the role play and the dice. And these are games that I feel I want to do. I can't make miniature games. We don't have the equipment to make miniatures at all. But these other games are things I know we can do. And then the color and the line below are two very important things that happened in our journey that actually got me to register the name. And the color is influenced by the organization I worked with. It's a British organization, VSO. So they took me in when I was a volunteer. I volunteered for 3 years plus, and then worked 2 years plus, and they encouraged the gaming. It's not like most organizations or some companies probably try to hide prevent their employees from doing some stuff that they really enjoy. But I think VSO gave me an opportunity to build, and they encouraged it from the staffs in the office and the staffs in other office. So one day I woke up and saw a mail go around to all the world that, hey, we have a staff that have been making games from being a volunteer and now is a staff. So I think they have that, and the whole essence of VSO is using volunteerism to fight poverty. So I think it falls into what we are doing, and that's why we want to make our games in Nigeria. It creates so much job, and the value chain can take in as much skills as possible.
That's fascinating, and that brings me to another question I had. When you started NIBCARD and you were designing, and you were publishing, was there an infrastructure already to produce board games like you wanted to, or is that something you had to really kind of build or seek out yourself?
No, there was none. I remember first it was, there are people that once they would talk about the past, it's funny. There's a time if you're entering my room, once you open the door, this is 2015. Once you're entering, I'm saying, wait, remove your slippers. No, I'll have to scream it so that because inside the room there are peppers everywhere. So you have to keep cutting and folding and making so many mistakes. Then I was a volunteer, and I would ask my team leader to lend me some money. I will spend my allowance before the end of the month because I will have to go and print. That excitement. I will just, but so no, there was none. And then when I get to meet the guys that we're working with, the young people, we did series of training. So first we would open YouTube. We are learning how to fold boxes, and then we started thinking, where should we print? What materials to print. So it was a lot of trial and error and very costly. So sometimes even up till today, because we don't have machines, so we still depend on external people. But what we've been able to do so far is now we know the exact, so for instance, for printing, we know the exact degree to set the printers so that they give us the quality we want. And this was what we just learned 2 weeks ago. So just for you to just know how much we keep learning, because what they do is they've already set their printers in a way to maximize more profit, because what they are printing is different from games, they have no idea that they can print games using it. It's just normal service they provide. But for us, we require it to be in a certain way because there's so much thing going on and all. But we'll keep learning. We keep learning how to some of the demarcations that we are doing. We keep learning them. Even among the teams, sometimes I will now do a competition and say, no, how can we change? So if we were doing, if we had a game, I'll say, so how do we make this game better? I will divide ourselves in team. I will say the team that wins will get so amount of money. So that way now people will start cracking their mind based on the resources that we have. Don't go to Google and find something we can't do and come to tell me so that I can't sleep. So based on something we can do, how do we make this better and not expensive? And we start thinking. So recently we also discovered how to laminate stickers. And this was during the lockdown. So imagine since 2015, we've not been able to figure that out. And so there are so many things we keep learning. So many. But hopefully, what we are looking for right now is our major focus is getting machines. Because once we have machines, we can control our output. So we can make more games. We know where to push them and all of this.
That's incredible.
So how do you not get exhausted with so many projects all the time, with being a hub, which is so much more work? You know, it's hard enough for a person to be a designer or a publisher. How do you not run out of energy, and how do you keep yourself motivated to keep going?
A shocker. So yesterday I broke down. Like when I broke down, it's like usually very feverish and high temperature and all. And after about 4 hours of experiencing that, I took medicine and I went for an all-night gaming event, and I came back this morning. It's I think my point is it's something I enjoy. People ask that question. I don't know how to. I break down a lot. I stay alone. I love staying alone. I stay alone quite often. Sometimes Toby or someone else tries to come and bring me out. Because if I'm alone in my room, either I'm working on a game or I'm responding to mails or editing a video. There has to be something I'm always doing. But I just like that. What's what Santum Santorum? Like just this is just me, and I don't care. I don't sometimes I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to sound. There are things I might say, and people say, "Oh no, I can't do this." I don't want to discourage people. It takes a toll, but I think there is that energy that just comes after I've broken down, and but I have to. No, I can't. Sorry, I can't explain step by step how it's done, but it just that strength is renewed. But I break down steady.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes absolute sense. I mean, it's in you, you know, the way it's in so many people in this industry, because, you know, there's a lot of reasons people get into this industry, and one of them is not getting rich, right? So you really have to love what it is. And the reward is, you know, tenfold the work you put into it. So I love that. I love that you have the drive, the entrepreneurship to put these hubs together, you know, and it's helping, you know.
And it's notwithstanding, the people around me, the closest, are usually the ones that take off some of those. So I will not lie. Sometimes, and I think I have people around me that are very supportive because they've come to realize, okay, sometimes when I don't try to lash out all the time, but when I try, they understand that it's coming from the place of care. That okay, maybe there's something bothering, and they try. So for instance, in production, I know Bina have taken almost all the stress away. For the cafe, Tobe is also growing in managing the cafe and taking that stress away. So, and that's what we want to do in time. Of course, we are limited by our resources, so we know that there are things that I know that sometimes maybe that's one of the ways I try to put myself back in focus is wishful thinking. So there are different things I will just be doing. Wishful thinking that some of these problems are a problem of money, and for me, money problem are not real problems. Because once you have the money, you get a skilled person to do the job. So that's what it's the ones that even if you have all the money here, but this problem is not solved. That's what that makes me go small gaga a little bit. So I think I should mention that there are people around me that they take away some of those negative energy or pressure.
Absolutely. That's why you see two of us here.
Yeah. Hopefully one day you also see two of us.
So you mentioned the board game, your cafe, and that brings us to our next question here. Have you been affected by COVID much there, and how has it in fact impacted the cafe and the rest of your work?
Yes, we have. First, there was a shutdown and there was no movement, and that means our rent was counting and we were not having customers. So it definitely affected us, but we also know that it affected a lot of people too. Um, everybody. It affected everybody. Either it made some people very rich, very, very, very rich, that they are so rich right now, or it made a lot of business close down. So we recognize that this happened. And yeah, even from the COVID, the thing we've been thinking is how do we first thing, how do we even secure rent? That's the major issue, as long as the hub is. So we try to bring out new games. For instance, there's Village War currently on. So part of the post I've been making is that hey, this thing is what we also pay rent for us. And at the same time, I'm also thinking of other ways in case it doesn't work out. What other ways? Because that's the major thing. It has to keep going. So I think that's where we. But yeah, it affected. But what I do know is that within the COVID period again, we published new games, and we also manufactured games for other Nigerian designers. I think within COVID, we did two games for two Nigerian, three. So we did Interstate. I think Interstate is here, and we also did Dancer. We did Dancer is by Yesterday, and Interstate is by Dorian. And then for us, we brought out there. There are two games that were trending. There are two games we designed out of Twitter trends in Nigeria during the COVID. There's the Nadimata, there's Just Right. So yeah, so COVID came with its challenges, but also came with a lot of opportunities. So we maximized both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that it's done that has brought up a lot of online content, right? So you mentioned you guys were at Spiel Digital.
Yes.
I mean, that's got to be, on some level, pretty incredible.
Yes,
right?
it was massive. Like first, so last year we were invited, but because of visa, I couldn't. So this year it was beautiful. Like it pushed us from where we are a lot. First, we had to build a studio first, and then we had to start practicing content creation, and then we had to start thinking of technology, how to use Twitch, how to use Tabletopia, how to use the Spill Digital back end that they kept sending mails. So
Yep.
I think it's helped because we've continued. The studio is still the way it is. We didn't pull it down, and people have been creating more content. And I've been using Twitch as well. So I think it's really good, and not just in terms of the presentations. It also helped us start thinking of distribution. And we got a mail from Pegasus Spiel, and we started working. Now I think I have an idea of how they operate and I love that they followed us through using their real approach, their own mode of work. So I now know what to expect. I learned about conformity of Europea. I never knew that your game cannot enter Europe without CE. I mean CE. So those are knowledges that I have now, and no one will take away from me, and it's easier to share it. I've already shared it to guys because they knew all the whole as we are going, and then we have barcodes. So I think we are pushed by Spill Digital, and it's COVID that did that. We've also played some games online. We discovered that we have games that you can even play online. So card games, social card games that you can enjoy. Then I had to interview people. One in particular, Hugo Jude has been supportive since 2016. And the first time we actually saw was during Spirit Digital. And we were like, oh, we've never had video. We've had a lot of chats, so many chats. In fact, he translated Village War rulebook, storybook, Battle of Adrica rulebook to German. And he also supported us when we were crowdfunding for our first African Boardgame Convention in 2017. So we've had so many conversations, but because of Spirit Digital, Father spoke. I will start ourselves.
That's wonderful. That's incredible. Well, I think that's going to about wrap it up. I just before we go, I really want to share some of these wonderful comments people have been leaving. Someone said they want to create a board game hub now. So thanks for your great advice and positive energy.
Please go ahead. It's beautiful. When you see the magic happening, you will love it as well. It's magic. It's beautiful. I'm just thinking about it.
That's wonderful. We've got another comment here from Chidi. You answered their question before.
That means thank you. Nna, how do I put Nna? Thank you. Well done. So Nna means father, but in the context is like thank you and well done.
Awesome. Oh, very cool. Very cool. So we also want to say thank you. Because this is wonderful, and it's, obviously it's a message that we completely agree with, as we're trying to expand the mentorship program, and now we have the micro grants and all this other stuff, and the speaker series here to try to share more with the world. I really resonate with your point about there are no trade secrets, right? Who does that help? You want the business to expand, you want the industry to grow. The only way to do that is to share your experience and your knowledge with everyone else. And so with you being a part of the speaker series, you're contributing to that, and obviously with everything else that you do. So we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Grace. Thank you again for reaching out, and because every opportunity to talk about what we do in Nigeria, it's a blessing for all of us. And so thank you so much.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. And in that spirit, I want to say that next Sunday, we are going to have a video from the Tabletop Network Vault about how to grow a game company from Rob Doherty of White Wizard Games and Star Realms fame.
So if you're looking to take some of the steps along the journey of becoming a hub, you can learn on how to grow a game company and then just keep growing from there. And in the spirit of keep growing from there, 2 weeks from today, we have our final live talk. And we are really excited for that. I think we have a title card for that coming up. Maybe it'll show up at the end.
It'll show up. So Eric Yurko is going to talk about content creation. We'll put that banner up at the end of the video as well, and y'all can still have the live chat going. But he's going to talk about ramping up in content creation, achieving consistency, and this has been someone who's been doing it for years and years and years. And his content is so great, not just his written word, but also his photography is wonderful. Beautiful. So yeah, absolutely.
So we're looking forward to those things. Thank you so much to everyone who's been a part of the series so far. Thank you to our partners who have put this together, New Voices in Gaming and the Tabletop Network. We are the Tabletop Mentorship Program, and we're going to put links to NIBCARD Games and to the rest of the speaker series in the chat.
Yep.
Otherwise, we hope you all have the wonderful rest of your day or night, and we will see you again soon.
Thanks, KC.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Grace. Bye. Thank you, everyone.